Welcome to Kaiju Paradise, a game you've either heard about and don't play, or a game you always grind. Which, I guess it's fair enough. Everyone does their own thing, am I right? But hello, let's talk about Kaiju Paradise and its whole entirety, and why I think it's superior than other transformation games that I have played. Number one is always, I think to everyone, Kaiju Paradise doesn't really have guns. And I don't like guns in transformation games because they just break the whole game, basically. Like, whenever I join a transformation game, I don't really expect anything good out of them because I do one thing. I transform myself into a furry in an attack zone that has a bit more money than me. Usually what will happen is, one, they have some fucking OP melee weapon they one-shot me with, or they two have a sniper rifle that also one-shots me for some reason, or they just shred me with a goddamn minigun, which takes about 2 seconds, which I don't really know where the fairness is in there. Like, what are we supposed to do against someone with a fucking minigun? Well, in Kaiju, I transformed myself into a furry, or a Kaiju in that case, and walked around trying to attack some humans. For some reason, I was confused. Why are they not pulling miniguns out their asshole? Then I noticed, it's a melee fighting game with balanced ranged attacks. I was confused. I was flabbergasted, you could say. A transformation game that's actually good. I never knew this existed, but oh well. I was kind of just moving on my day and playing as a normal human, what I usually do after I turn to a furry, because my friend begged me to play the game. I just smash up some furries. It's just a normal daily practice. But oh well, that's kind of the first thing why Kaiju is better than other games, because it's balanced in its own sort of way. Even though the combat system is not really necessarily that advanced like Riot, for example, and I'm using Riot as a, again, perfect example of what a bad combat game looks like. Overcomplicated as movement. While in Kaiju, you actually just have only like 3 things to really look on, which is movement, attacking, and maybe timing, I guess, which kind of isn't all those 2 mechanics. And honestly, I think it's better with just 2 of them, because fighting games have gotten way too complicated. That's kind of my second point. When I look at combat or transformation games that are actually good, which are not many of, Kaiju is like pretty much the only one I know of, I look into combat a lot. And the combat in Kaiju is so simple, I actually prefer the combat of that game more than any other, because it's just very simple. And that brings me to number 3. Balancing. Basically, the game is just very balanced overall. I've never seen really a unfair fight unless you have a fucking scythe and for some reason every single buff in the game, or quote-unquote buff like a hazmat suit, a medkit, everything you can possibly own. You know, no one really has that, so overall it's a pretty balanced game. And hey, there's even a fucking event in the game that absolutely makes Kaijus way more effective, which is when the power shuts down. The Kaijus definitely can rock on this one because they can actually see. And I would have said here that I can't, but I actually found that there's a brightness setting, so you know, I can see now. So if you've been fucking absolutely molested by humans and you have some sort of skill, you can easily just take this event as an advantage to get the revenge you need, because there's no possible way that you're gonna survive this event unless you're a god like me. I'm joking, I'm not a god, but I still survived it. It's like, if you're like an above average player, I think you can easily survive the event. If you have a friend with you, it's not that hard. That brings me to really number 4, because teaming is very essential. It's a team-based game. There's 2 different teams, the humans and the Kaijus. Oh, sorry, the Gutraxians. The penis in my ass. The Gutraxians. I don't know how you pronounce them. I never tried to pronounce it ever in my life. Don't judge me. Anyways, there's 2 different teams, so you should work together with your team to destroy the Kaijus. But for some reason, no one works together. They're all just solo for some reason. I don't know why most people go solo. I know there's like a lot of people that team with like a friend or whatever. That's what I do. Usually when I play Kaiju, I'm not alone. I team with a friend together. It's really stupid how some people just go their own ways and just go somewhere because they feel like it. Well, you kind of have to team in the game because it's a team-based game. What are you gonna do against 3 Kaijus? Kill them? Yeah, sure. If they're not that good at the game, you can surely do a 3v1, but if they're somewhat skilled, I think you're kind of fucked, because for me, at least, I don't really use any of those weapons you can buy. I'm a saver. I am a millionaire when it comes to tokens, so why just not buy a scythe or something like that? It's really easy to just do. Well, I just want to save more, you know, just in case. I do buy weapons occasionally, but I don't really do that very often, because I kind of forget about that thing existing, and I don't want to waste my money. Since you can just easily find weapons around the map, like pipes, sledgehammers, knives, and a lot of more stuff I kind of just forgot about, really. But you know, there's like a lot of things you can just collect around the map, so you don't really need to spend all your money on just weapons, because you literally can find them around the map, and usually they're always somewhere, and especially the sledgehammers. You can actually buy those from the shop. It's like just a map exclusive thing, I guess, but there's just one thing that kind of makes humans a bit more stronger, which is the katana. Again, you cannot buy the katana off the shop. You have to find it around the map somewhere. And there's like set points where the katana spawns. I'm just gonna put some footage on the screen where those are being found. At least that's the spots I know of. I think there's like 2 more or 1 more, I don't know, but I I actually do not know that spot, so don't judge me for that one. There's also medkits, which are pretty useful overall. There's also hazmat suits, which I actually really like the concept of, because it's just, you know, you can't really walk with puddles, and whenever someone grabs you and puts you into a puddle, you kinda either die or take damage. And with that hazmat suit, you either take basically no damage, or you don't die from those things that would instantly kill you otherwise. And after a while, the thing breaks anyways, so it's pretty balanced overall. Same like most things in the game, they all have their sort of downsides and upsides to doing something. Like for example, you can attack 3 times with the katana and then you like go slow for a short period of time, which then, you know, it basically fixes itself. Same with how you can stun kaiju with certain weapons in the game, like the bat, but you cannot stun them if it's like a weapon that does light damage like the knife or the katana. Now kaijus can also stun you by simply grabbing you or using an ability, but mainly using the ability because grabbing doesn't really stun you. Which yes, it annoys me quite a lot when I get grabbed and then put into a puddle. It's like the most frustrating thing out of all of kaiju. It's very annoying, but what can I say? It's a feature that balances the humans out with the kaijus. So, you know, it just kind of had to be implemented. Now to get to the next point, the kaijus. As a kaiju, you can't really do much besides attack and grab, but I think that's for the better, because you can run through puddles, you can do quite a lot of things as a kaiju that you cannot do as a human, like walk through puddles. But just that one buff alone makes the kaijus way stronger than they need to be. Like, I don't really get it whenever, like, I fight a kaiju and they're somehow beating me. How does that even happen? Well, it's because the attack from the kaijus are actually way faster than you think. The reach and time of that thing is surprisingly strong, and even though many people don't actually realize that and take it to advantage, it's like only the late game players really notice that, like the guys with like 5,000 inject kills. But to quickly go over grabbing in its entirety, now you should use it and whatnot, it's grabbing in itself isn't really that strong because people can just free themselves, but if you use grabbing near a puddle and then try to get those motherfuckers into the puddle, then it's strong, surprisingly strong, even if it takes you like 10 years to even get there in the first place. In the meantime, I mean, you know, you kinda are freed. There's also some other strategies I'm not really that sure of because I don't really play as a kaiju that much, but I know there's some strategies to get people into puddles pretty quickly and pretty easily as well. Or like, if you're with a friend and you grab someone and your friend attacks the person, that's also pretty damn strong because you can easily just kill them with barely trying. But most people just grab people just for the sake of grabbing people to do damage. To do damage in grabbing, like, it does damage, it does its job, I guess, but you're gonna kill like 1 out of 10 people. That took you like 10 million hours to even do in the first place. I just don't understand people that grab all the time. That's what I'm saying. Like, just use attack. It's way more effective. Since you can literally just turn on the setting in the options and you're basically instantly freed when you're grabbed. You don't have to worry about like lacking speed, because whenever you grab someone, if you notice it or not, you kind of go really slow. And while that's good either for you or for the people, for the humans, is up to debate because it depends on what situation you're in. If there's a situation where you're like in a fucking war, there's like a million humans, there's like a million kaijus, it could easily happen that one of those humans slap the goof out of you and you're just kinda dead. Except that you're stunned and the other one's gonna absolutely murder you. Now if you're using attack and jumping and whatever, you dodging and whatnot, and you do damage, you can't really be slow because you're always the same speed. So grabbing is more effective if you're alone with someone rather than if you're in a fucking war zone. They can also be effective whenever someone's with you. For example, if you're grabbing someone and there's not another human there, but you have another kaiju with you, you can just easily grab him and he attacks him and then he grabs the other guy and you do a lot of damage. But if you're just like, I don't know, if you're just grabbing someone for the sake of grabbing someone and you don't know if there's someone gonna come in the next 5 seconds to absolutely slap the goof out of you, I don't really like suggest that, because that does damage to you and you don't want to take damage usually. Some people actually don't really care if they take damage or not, which is understandable, but again, you know, if you're at 0 HP, you're kind of dead. Alright, let's actually get to 5.5, the next point, and at this point we're going to talk about different variations of kaijus, but then I noticed, oh wait, there's abilities, and I didn't even actually notice that at first, but when I started playing the game again, I was like, damn, are you serious right now? Like, I actually did notice that there were abilities now, because I was used to there being no abilities. Only a few kaijus are blessed with this, so there's not really that much to talk about here. Now, I just looked at the Wikipedia page for this part of the video, but in all honesty, I don't think I can go over every single individual kaiju. I would have to make this a separate video, so I don't really think anyone's gonna sit through this with me. I could add this in the video, but this would take like 10 minutes of the video, so I'm just not gonna even bother with this. Basically, to summarize it, some people have special abilities, like stunning or whatever. But if honestly, just look at the goddamn fan wiki or whatever, if you really want to know about all these different kaijus and abilities and whatever, because most of them just have health increase, and it's not really that worth talking about. But yeah, just quickly wanted to mention that. So don't say I missed this in the video. I know it exists, but it's just way too much. I guess the game is a bit complicated after all, but you know, again, it's not really that complicated like fucking Riot, for example. But overall, to come to the sixth and last point, the finish point, some might say, we'll talk about a game in its entirety and give it a little bit of a rating compared to other combat games. Now, of course, as I said, it's my personal bias that I like those sort of simple combat games more than these complicated ones. I don't really have anything against complicated combat system, but usually when a game is really complicated with its systems, it's very shit, and it gets really bad sometimes. And I don't just say that because I'm bad at them. I say that because it's very much true. You usually find yourself in a lot of situations where you just take damage even though you're not even close to them. Well, in Kaiju that happens, but that's kind of Roblox's fault, not the game's fault. And that doesn't really happen that often. For example, like it happens in Combat Warriors or Riot. In Riot, you take damage for absolutely no reason. And in Combat Warriors, kinda, but they can sort of fix the hitbox because it's a big game. But again, taking Riot as an example, the worst combat game to exist, it's you know, it's definitely better than that game. For sure. There's no blocking, there's no complicated ass systems that you have to fucking memorize. You just kind of have to play in fucking muscle memory. It's always just a really simple combat game, but the only thing I really kind of noticed when I came back to the game is how much fatherless people have settled into grinding the game and tryharding it. You know, it's one thing to tryhard a game to a point where you will eat your own shit and shit in the bucket and piss in the bucket to drink it and eat it, to survive in front of your PC for days and nights. And you know, you don't even pay the electricity bills. That's your mama's thing. As soon as your mom is gone, bro, you are gone. But it's like the kind of only thing I kind of realized playing Kaiju again. It's overall a really funny game and fun game. There's a lot of good things I can say about the game, but the community is something else, man. And one of the things what I kind of noticed is that a lot of people teabag, and I feel like teabagging should just be bannable at this point, like a bannable offense, because it's not like, what the fuck is the purpose of teabagging? I never got it in any game. It's like a funny thing you do. Let's just say when you're like against a friend or something, you can do that, it's like funny and whatever. But in Kaiju, usually you play the opposite team because you're enemies, not because you're fucking friends, now is it? So how about we make teabagging just, you know, bannable, because that would definitely ban some of these toxic ass motherfuckers that are inside the game and the community that is ruining the game currently. Because I really would have made way more fun if the people that fight against me killed me and, you know, did it with respect and then said, salute, buddy, good 1v1, GG's, instead of fucking teabagging me. You know, that's like one thing I got here. It's like really arrogant to teabag in the first place, but I'm going on, I'm not too much of a rant now about fucking teabagging, why it should be bannable. Now to give an end rating and to finally come to the end of the video, I would give the game a 8.5. There's certain things like you chasing people forever and certain hitbox issues that I don't know how you're gonna fix really, but it's like, it's fine, I guess. It has its fair share of bullshittery, and sometimes there just gotta be a bit of bullshit in the game for it to become the game you want to have. But with all of this out of the way, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.